Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. My name is Marissa Arnold. I am a real estate broker and manager here in Sudbury, Ontario. I'm also your Northern Ontario Director for the Ontario Real Estate Association and your Vice Chair of the YPN Committee. I have the immense pleasure of hosting today's webinar on the heels of International Women's Day, where we are going to talk about everything women in real estate. We've got some amazing panelists here who are leading the charge in real estate in Ontario. So without further ado, our panelists today are Kelsey Belluz, who is a broker in Thunder Bay, Laura Tourangeau, who is a broker of record and boss lady in Chatham-Kent, Ashley Lowe, who's a broker in Toronto, and Ashley Polischuik, who is a broker and works in commercial real estate in Barrie. So welcome, everybody. Just as a little note, if you have any questions, we welcome all of your questions. If you could please just put your questions in chat, and I will do my best to get through as many of them as possible. So to kick us off today, our first question: what kind of challenges have you faced as a woman in real estate? And I'll let whoever wants to take this one first go right ahead.
Well, I'll start because I'm the first one on my screen, so I can see it. I work commercial solely, as you mentioned. Thank you for that. And obviously, I think real estate can be an old boys game in general, but in commercial, I find that happens quite a bit. And I find that really getting a foothold where you're seen as someone who knows what they're talking about and not one of the girls, or referred to as the little girls, actually is difficult. But once you can figure out, speak your mind, and actually show them that you bring value to the table, I think that challenge definitely minimizes. But I find that it never goes away. It's always there. Every new client, every new deal, it's always someone, whether it's the lawyer, the accountant, whoever comes to the table, there's always going to be new people that you're kind of having to prove your worth to sometimes.
100%. Does anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, no.
Oh, go ahead, Ashley.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that I definitely echo that. I think that was probably more of an issue for me when I was younger and I first started, and I didn't know as much, and I looked even younger as well. And so it was difficult to take me seriously. But I think now that I've been in the industry for a while now, and I'm a lot more confident that it's not as bad, I think, in residential real estate. And in fact, I think women have a lot of advantages being in residential real estate, I feel. And Kelsey and I were talking about it a little bit earlier as well.
Yeah, it's awesome, the shift I've noticed. So I started when I was 19. So I've been in it for about 13 years now. And it was hard to prove yourself as like a young female in the industry before. But I've noticed that what helps now is how, we're celebrating women more and success in women. And, it just becomes a non-issue now because you're very equal with the men in this industry. I was saying before we started that 4 of the top 5 agents in our city are female.
That is such an amazing statistic. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool to see. And yeah, and not to take away from the men in the industry or anything, because most of them are pretty great too, but it's really nice to see that it's a non-issue up north here.
That's great.
Yeah,
Laura?
even in my area, yeah, I've noticed a little shift with that. Women are stepping up, women are taking these leadership roles, and it's great to see. And again, not, discounting some of the men in the industry, but it was definitely the old boys club when I started in real estate. And just over the years, there has been a pretty significant shift. So yeah, it's amazing the work we're doing and the light we're bringing to this issue.
Yeah. I can echo every single thing that every one of you said. When I started in the business almost 10 years ago, it was definitely the old boys club. And I started young too, just like you, Ashley, and Kelsey, and all of you. So it took a long time for people to start taking me seriously, especially that old boys club. But our broker of record here, we have the largest brokerage in Northern Ontario. Broker of record is a woman. I'm a woman managing. So we're definitely shaking things up, and I think it's awesome. All right, next question. How do you think we can encourage more women in the real estate profession, either to join or remain in it? Now, I'm going to go to the commercial real estate broker in the group. Ashley, if you want to kick this one off, because I know commercial real estate is especially an old boys club compared to residential.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're still, I would say we're still outnumbered, most of in my city anyways. I mean, I'm lucky that I work on a team of all women. We're 5 women. I've been mentored by 2 women who have been in the business. Still the only, I think, one of Linda and Shannon are both 2 women, and they are the first with CCIM and SIOR in Canada for women. And I've been mentored to think in a strong manner. And now when we have a junior agent, we tell her to, you know, be strong. Don't speak in a passive manner. That's something that women do all the time. We think, we believe, we never speak assertively. And that's something that I've really tried to learn, and just come into it and don't expect that you're in a weaker position. I think that a lot of people automatically assume that, and I think women are timid by nature. And I think if you come in a more stronger nature with a stronger personality, that's more accepted now, and more people aren't seeing that as being aggressive like they used to. We're more on level, we're more on par with a lot of our counterparts and our male peers. And I think that just having that strong voice is no longer as scary as it once was.
Okay. Does anybody else want to add to that?
Well, I was gonna say that, yeah, I definitely think that we're really not seeing that as much anymore. There's a lot of benefits to actually being a realtor, I feel, especially with the flexibility, and if people wanting to have children and whatnot. You know, you can kind of plan your life accordingly, and especially if you're on a team with other women as well, it's definitely a good group to have. So actually, I think there's a lot of benefits.
Okay. I 100% echo that. I always tell people who are exploring real estate as a profession, especially moms, I think moms make the best realtors because busy people get stuff done, and moms are so busy and we have no choice but to multitask and be good at doing all the things all at once. So I think moms make excellent realtors, and that's sort of my conversation that I have with a lot of new moms who are thinking about getting into the profession. Anybody else before we move on to the next question?
I agree with you on that. So it's kind of funny. I generally did well and was happy with my success. I became a mom, and I had some people in the industry like, oh, she's a mom. She's a single mom. She's not going to be able to do the numbers she did. The first year I had my daughter, I doubled my income.
Same.
I can't even believe it. I'm shattering my own personal records every year. My daughter's going to be turning 5 in June, and I can't even believe it. And like, if anybody follows me on social media, they will see little tidbits of Parker because she wants to be just like me. And you know what, to be able to like pave the way and inspire not only my own daughter, but other people's children, it's so amazing. Like, these little girls look up to you when you're showing your clients homes, and they're like, I want to be like Kelsey. I want to sell houses like Kelsey. And honestly, it's like the best feeling ever to hear kids say that, and just to be an inspiration to one person is just amazing.
You're making me cry.
Oh, sorry.
Just to echo that though, like I think we get hyper focused because, you know, we have a set number of hours in a day, you know, so to prioritize family time versus work time, I find we're more productive in those hours that we do dedicate to working.
100%. All right, next question. We can stop crying for now. How can women advance in the real estate profession? And do you feel like we have to be more involved and do that little bit extra just to get ahead like a male counterpart would?
I think you just have to show confidence. It's key. That was one thing I learned. I always use the reference when I started in real estate at 19, I was like, who's going to take me seriously driving this like old little beat up car? I'm young. I've never owned a house before. And I was like, no, you know what? You fake it till you make it. And then your confidence just carries through with you. And then as it evolves in your career, you believe in yourself and people in turn believe in you. So internally, you have to believe in yourself, and then everything will fall into place. And I truly believe that.
Yeah, I feel like I was actually more motivated in the beginning because I knew that people might see me that way. And so I almost felt like I had more to prove. And so I would try to do my research and try to do my homework ahead of time to make sure I know everything, and to impress the people that I was trying to impress. And so it was actually a really good motivation for me, I feel, and it's definitely come through. I think getting involved now, it's more that wanting to support other women and wanting to help others get into a similar position and having that confidence as well. But I don't know if it's necessarily, you have to do that, but it's just something I think we all want to do now to support each other.
And just a little further to that too, when I first started volunteering with organized real estate, part of it was self-serving that, I wanted to learn more about the industry. And I think just that naturally will build more confidence in you the more you know about how the entire industry works. But being involved at the board level or at the OREA level, just immersing yourself in that culture, I think, there's that phrase, the rising tide lifts all boats. And I think it's a very similar thing when we're all involved with the same type of movement. We just learn more about the industry, we grow our networks, and as a result of that, all of our businesses flourish.
Yeah, I agree. We very much in my team, we walk the walk and we talk the talk. We don't just say that we're supporting our community. We actually do it. Like I am chair of our local housing association. I'm on Habitat. I make sure that like I am involved. So when I say that I want to help and build the community, I mean, being in commercial, I'm large swaths of land trying to bring, more housing, jobs, that kind of thing. It's very difficult for me to say that I'm for the community without actually being part of the community. So that has been a major thing. And the other point I was going to add is education. Men do have the advantage once they get into their careers to have the extra time to further their education, take different courses and certifications. They don't have children and that type of thing. So I think they are granted a little bit extra leeway in that sense in time. And so I think continuing your education when you have time and actually being involved and like you said, being involved in more real estate education and always trying to better yourself helps set you apart.
Okay, so a follow-up question to that from Patricia in chat. What are your suggestions when starting in the business as a woman? What are your thoughts about joining a team or working independently? Has being a woman had any effect on how you started?
I don't think it affected me any. A little bit of my backstory is I joined my family brokerage. So there was my mother, my father, and my grandfather. And the first thing they said to me was, we're a team. You are not part of our team. You are going to learn and you're going to prove yourself in this industry and you're going to thank us for it later. And they said, 3 to 5 years, you do okay, you can join our team. Well, it's 13 years and I'm still an individual. I'm not a part of their team. And I have proven to, be able to hold my own. And I think that the tough love from people is what kind of sometimes gives you that extra shove to be like, no, I'm going to do this and I am going to be a force to be reckoned with. And just having that mindset helps.
Yeah, just speaking from my personal experience as well, I've always worked on my own and I haven't been part of a team. So I think it just depends on the personality too, whether you're male or female. I don't think it necessarily matters. It's just, do you prefer to work in a team environment? And is that how you get your energy versus do you like to work on your own? I think either could be good.
I think commercial is different, to be honest with you, when it comes to teams. I've only ever worked as part of a team. I think it's very difficult to do commercial without having strong mentors, which I was lucky enough to have. But we're very much off market. And with the way things work with multiple rep and stuff like that, it has been very beneficial for us to be in a team environment. We may have one deal that never goes to market, but we're always able to negotiate fairly. So I'll take a buyer, I'll take my other partner will take a seller, and we work as though we're not on a team in order to make sure that everybody has a voice. So it depends, I think, what kind of business. You guys are mostly online. There's a lot of MLS. When you're getting into commercial, it's very difficult, I would say, to do it and not necessarily do well in it, but excel in it in a knowledge-based way without a team, because the education that you come out of with OREA is great, but you really need to build on that with real life. So I think a team in commercial is very optimal.
And I think regardless, team or individual, finding a strong mentor when you're starting out is key. So somebody that's, willing to take you under their wing a little bit and show you the ropes. Somebody that you can even just, sometimes there's stressful days and you just need to talk to somebody about it or just talk things out. Having that person, I think finding somebody is really key to this business. And, whether it is a team leader or if it's somebody you found within your brokerage, just finding that person is huge.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. How can we support each other? How can allies and our friends and family and other businesses support us as women in real estate? Shall we kick it off with the broker of record?
Okay. So I think really just supporting each other through our networks, building each other up and talking about, the good and the bad days in real estate, because we all have both. But just really growing a support system and a network of people. I think networking has been huge in my business. And even people throughout the province or the country, just having somebody to talk to about real estate that understands it and the pitfalls with it just helps, make those bad days better. And they also know how to celebrate your wins.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like Laura was saying earlier, having a strong mentor. I think I was really lucky to have a strong female mentor when I first started, and it's been really helpful to just see how far and how successful she's become, and it gave me the confidence to do the same. And so it's just finding somebody that is on your side and on your team, and my broker of record is super supportive. It's really important to just have the people beside you encouraging you, I think.
Great. Anybody else have anything to add? Cool. What is something you wish you did or realized earlier in your career?
I think it was having a stronger voice. I don't think I gave myself enough credit for the information and knowledge that I actually did have. And I think I sold myself short on a lot of situations where, had I just been a little bit stronger and been a little bit more confident, I probably could have done a lot more deals. Just getting on the phone and being told no, like men are trained to be confident and come out and just kick butt, where we're a little bit more gentle, some of us are. And I find that had I been in that stronger voice and realized that is okay, I think I could have probably made some far larger deals earlier in my career.
I agree. I would say I'm shy by nature, and so I think earlier, just knowing and having that confidence to speak up and to be a little bit more, even not necessarily speaking up, but even in my actions being more aggressive, I think it would have helped me succeed a lot quicker in terms of what I'm doing and pushing through. I also feel like, sort of related, but not really, I think so my business is basically mainly based on referrals. And I think in the beginning, the reason why I started that way was because of the safety factor, I think. And I felt that, if it was a person that I already knew, that I would feel a lot safer. And I think that that's probably a good strategy for a lot of women too, because I know I hear from a lot of women in the industry that sometimes they get, you don't know who you're meeting, and it could be potentially a dangerous situation. And so it's nice to do business that way, I feel.
That's so huge. That is, I don't know about you ladies. I know this came up in our chat earlier, but I do, when I go showings, I have an Invisalign necklace. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend it. It's literally a push button. If I'm ever in trouble, I can press it twice and it sends my coordinates to 5 different people. My best friend, growing up, her best friend's mother was actually killed at a real estate showing in Montreal. And people don't realize how dangerous our job is. I've had situations where people have randomly messaged me and stuff like that. And their intention was definitely not business. So that is something we do have a rule in my office that regardless, especially going to industrial buildings by ourselves, we don't go alone, or we always know where someone is. But I definitely think that we should definitely utilize the tools we have to make sure that we are safe, because that is, again, another thing that is definitely a female problem in this business.
I agree with you. From someone who's had their car smashed into when showing an apartment building, that was the scariest thing. That was, oh my gosh, 8 years ago. And I still don't even want to go in the area, because it it triggers you. I had this one agent friend of mine, after it happened, if I was in like not one of the greatest areas or I didn't know the person, he would actually like park his car behind and like make sure I was good and make sure everything, because it's just so hard when you don't know people, or like my city is small, so I mean somebody always knows somebody who knows someone, but it's still, you never know. So if you can't, social media is a big thing because you can most times creep who the person is or know people who know people, and figure out things that way, which makes you feel a little bit more secure. But I know I don't like going by myself if I'm all of a sudden crept them on social media, I can't find them, or they, have some questionable posts and stuff like that. It just makes you feel more secure to know that there is somebody that will come with you to make sure you're safe.
That can also play opposite though, with us being as public as we are. I had someone reverse search my cell phone number, track down my last name, then went through OREA and found every Ashley that practiced, Rico, and found every Ashley that practiced in Barrie because my last name's not on Facebook. So you definitely have to be careful on what you're putting out there, because it can work in both ways. I don't have my last name on social media, although my cell phone is very searchable, because I don't want that same connection for that reason, right? So I guess it just depends on perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Ashley, what was that necklace? We have a question in the Q&A.
Invisaware is actually it was started, got big, Remax put it out to all their agents in the US. So it's an Invisaware necklace. It can be a keychain. It's literally a pendant. I would say it's about the size of a quarter. It's a little bit bigger, but it looks like a necklace. It's got a computer chip in it. Battery lasts for quite some time. You just replace the battery, but it's an app on your phone. It goes by the Bluetooth, and it's connected all the time so long as you have a service. You press it twice quickly and you have 3 seconds and it will send your coordinates out and send an SOS message to whoever you want it to. And it's also tracked by there's a security company, I can't remember the name of it, that actually coordinates that. So it's something that I think every female should take advantage of for sure, because you can have your cell phone knocked out of your hand, but as long as it's in your proximity and you have this, you can still get help.
Great. I actually carry bear spray around with me if I've never met the client, or if I'm going to a rural, sorry, I have a hard time with that word, property. I carry bear spray with me, and I always tell at least 2 or 3 people where I'm going and what I'm doing in case I get to an area with low service. That sort of answers one of the questions we had about safety. Is there anything that anybody else would like to add about safety? Maybe do we have programs with our brokerages, like check-in buddy systems, that kind of thing?
I would just say trust your gut is, a big thing. If you have an uneasy feeling, definitely let somebody know where you're going. That's one of the things in our office. Everybody's really good. If you need somebody to go with you, we have a really good group in that regard, that somebody's more than willing to go with you if you feel unsafe, or let somebody know and they will check up on you. That's kind of just a part of our culture that we have, that, safety is a top priority.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way. Usually if I'm meeting somebody that I don't know, I'll have something with friends where I'll be like, check in with me every half an hour to an hour. And if you don't hear from me, then I might be in trouble and this is where I'm going to be. So I have that kind of buddy system with some of my friends and colleagues.
Awesome. All right. Can we share some of our strategies for balancing career and young children, especially working as an individual agent? Kelsey, Laura, you're probably perfect to answer this.
Yeah, so it's crazy and it's wild, and I don't even know if somebody had warned me what it was like before I had a child. Like it's so different evolving. You're used to this freedom where it's like somebody calls you at 8 p.m. and the house is empty. You're like, yeah, I can run and show it. Or, somebody's calling you at bedtime. Well, now you've got a child and it's like, okay, I can't talk from 7:30 to 8:30, maybe not until 9:30, because if my kid doesn't go to bed. So I do notice balancing's a little trickier, especially like I don't have anyone living with me, so it's just me and my daughter, so it's all hands on deck with me. So with her being older now, she kind of understands the phone thing, where it's like, okay, if mommy's on the phone, don't be yelling at me and stuff like that. But it is tricky. So I have full disclosure with all my clients, like, hey, I have a daughter and I'm with her right now. If you hear her, I'm so sorry. But that's my life. And you know what? Most of my clients are like, oh my gosh, no, we love to hear Parker's voice and stuff like that. Now, the clients that are kind of like, oh, your child's annoying me, chances are I'm not going to deal with them because that's just not the vibe I want. But I've managed, and like I was saying earlier, my career has just excelled since I've become a mom. I think I've got a different perspective with buyers, sellers. I can certainly understand when I tell my clients, okay, you've got to get out of your house for showings. I understand a little bit more now. Like, it's not as easy as just picking up the kids and going if you're still living at home. So it made me a little bit more aware, maybe more compassionate to people's emotions, I think, which is a good thing.
Yeah, basically, like Kelsey said, being upfront with your clients, they're going to understand. And the ones that don't probably aren't a good fit anyway. And the other thing too, so my clients don't know this, but I have basically my downtime when I'm not available to answer my phone, and bedtime, dinner time, in between, I will get back to people if it's urgent, but otherwise after my son's in bed, then I will get back to everybody. But they're just, unspoken timeframes that I have, time that I set aside in my calendar. That's my family time. And, clients don't need to know that. They just know, hey, I'm busy with an appointment, whatever it is, even if it's something in the middle of the day sometimes, and I will get back to them after that. But just carving out that time for myself and knowing that that is family time, that's something that I do that I have found goes a long way.
I mean, I don't have children, but I've been finding, especially since COVID, the industry is changing a little bit, I feel, and people are a lot more understanding. I have colleagues that, male and female, they'll bring their kids to showings sometimes. I don't think people mind generally, and especially with the working from home situation, people are a lot more understanding as well.
I have found that I have had to intentionally set the goal to be more intentional with my time. So exactly what Laura echoed. There are certain times in the day where I'm home with my family, and that's all there is to it. I have a great partner in the office who does not have children and does not have as many responsibilities as I do. So if a client comes to me and says, I can only view in the evenings and weekends, well, that's great. I will guide you through the process, but here's my colleague who will help facilitate those showings, because I cannot be everything to everyone. There are limitations. And if you can't understand, or you just physically can't be there during the day, then I have a great team around me who will help me. And being intentional with my time like that and setting those boundaries has actually increased my business.
I agree with you. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew. And that was me last year. It was so busy and I was like biting off way more than I can chew. Then I started to get almost run down and sloppy with not being the best mom, not being the best agent. And I was letting things slip through the cracks, and that wasn't me. So I took a reset. I took a week off, and you need that through COVID. You don't get those breaks as much. So it was nice. I had a reset, and it was like, okay, these are my priorities, and this is where I have to shift it. This is how I have to focus my time. And it's okay to do resets like that. Everybody needs them in this business, because you just go all the time, and everybody is always needing you, and in one way, shape, or form, whether it be at home, whether it be your friends, whether it be your clients. Somebody's always needing you, and it's such an instant gratification world now that it's hard to keep up. But once you find that balance, it works so well.
Yeah. But I find I have to work every day at balance. It's not, I find it once and it's there. I work every day at keeping that balance.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. If you don't maintain it, it's so easy for the work just to creep in and take over everything. So it's a conscious effort. Exactly.
Yep. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. What is something you wish you did or realized earlier in wish you realized earlier in your career? Did I ask you that already?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, next. What advice would you give to women beginning their career in real estate?
I think we've covered that in the balance aspect. We've been very all-encompassing in our answers, I think.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to ask for help would be my question, because again, that is something I think we struggle with in everything, not just real estate, everything. We're always afraid to ask for help. And I know we touched on this previously. take advantage of counseling services, things like that, if you find that you are struggling, because I know that there's a lot of people out there. I know a lot of friends, I don't have children personally, but a lot of friends who have children who try to stay in shape, do their things, have their hobbies and their career. It becomes a lot, and asking for help, whether it's career or even mental, like we all need it. And I would say take advantage. I know OREA offers products, but every person I ask, I have no qualm saying that I speak to someone regularly, because even if it's just venting about the line at the grocery store, you don't realize how much those things can impact you and affect your work. And I think that everybody who has the opportunity to talk to someone should take it.
100%. If I can just add, I find this is more particular to women, men as well. But early on in my career, when I heard the answer no, or when I heard the answer no, we don't trust you, or we don't want to work with you, it just killed me. So the quicker you can grow a thicker skin, and the quicker that you can use to hearing no, the better off you'll be. Because when somebody says no to you, more often than not, it's not personal. Take the no and move on to someone who will give you a yes.
I had someone say that to me once. Do you like absolutely every person you've met? Well, no. Well, exactly. And you don't take that personally. You don't expect them to take it personally. So I think just reflect on how you would accept that, and what you would expect, and take that as your own.
Yeah. Correct. Help to grow a thicker skin. It's important, because you're going to hear a lot of no's before you hear a yes, especially in this market where you are literally hearing a lot of no's before you hear a yes.
And truthfully, those are blessings in disguise, because you will work with people. If you try to force it and you're just not feeling it and it goes against your better judgment, they will suck every bit of life out of you until that transaction is done, when you could have been putting that energy into, two fabulous clients that end up becoming friends. So it's, when something like that happens, let it go.
I have fired clients before. I have no problem doing it.
Yeah. And I also, sorry, go ahead, Kelsey.
I always tell my new agents that start with us, for every one bad client, you're losing two good. So take that and run with it, because don't let it suck your energy out, because this career is so long and there's so many different things that suck your energy out. Don't let those negative people, they can go deal with someone else, because you're going to get two better or more on the flip side.
Yep. One more thing too, nothing is ever a waste of time. You didn't win the competing offer. Don't call it a waste of time. Call it offer practice. Call it creating goodwill and creating trust with your client. Nothing is ever a waste of time. Learn from absolutely everything that you do.
I've made a habit of literally every deal I do, I make a note of something I learned on that deal. Literally one word in an offer that a lawyer pushes back on. And I make a note of everything, every deal I do, what I learned, even if it's the smallest, like changing a word in a clause that I use all the time. Because as you just said, Marissa, you're not wasting your time. It's something learned, and you're helping your next client to do better.
Yep. All right. It's clear that different women have different experiences, age, ethnicity, etc. How do you believe that affects you as a woman in the profession? This is a tricky one. I can kick us off if you like. I, like most of you, started as a very young woman in the real estate profession. I come from a family of developers. So when I entered the real estate profession as a young woman and the daughter of a developer, everybody kind of looked at me and went, oh, well, she's just doing it because her family's doing it. She's just doing it because it's going to be easy for her. And she's just, so for me, it was just an extra huge mountain to climb. It took me years for people to take me seriously in the business, because people just thought I was handed the keys to this proverbial castle and I was just doing this because it was easy. In reality, it was exactly the opposite, because I was young, I was a woman, and I was from a family of developers. So when a man enters the business at 24 years old with a different last name, it's easy for him. People automatically just take him seriously. When a young woman enters this business, I found, at least for me, I've had to work extra hard in order for people to take me seriously. And you know what, for a lot of years, I thought, oh my God, like, why do I have to do this? This is not fair for me, not fair for me. Woe is me. You know what? Pardon my language, but fucking right fair for me, because how much extra did I learn and how much better did I become than every other man in the office because I did the extra work. So
Yeah.
for me, that's what it was for me. But anyway, anybody else have anything to comment?
No,
Looks like we've had to have a time delay on.
My background was a little bit different. I didn't know anybody in real estate. I just, got into it pretty blindly, I think. But, again, I was young. You have to basically submerge yourself in it. And I felt like I needed to know everything. So it was a constant wanting to learn, prove myself type thing. But it does, those skills carry forward with you. And I think now later on in my career, it's been huge. I've shown up to listing appointments prepared, where that was the feedback that I've got, that agents were showing up unprepared. So, things that now have become second nature to me, that are skills that I had to pick up along the way out of necessity, that somebody else might not have to do. But those have carried with me and they've served me well.
Okay.
yeah, I think similar to Marissa, when I first started, I used to get comments, and when I started doing well, they were like, well, what do your parents do? Just assuming that, I already had a background in real estate or something like that, which I didn't. And so I think it's just about having thick skin in terms of these types of comments and just brushing it off your shoulder, because people are always going to try to doubt you and you can just prove them wrong. And like right now, I like to do developments and renovations, and same thing. It's an old boys club where most people in the industry are men. And, I always get comments, what are you doing here? Or, why does this even interest you, and whatnot. And, you just have to, roll it off your back and keep moving on.
All right. Kelsey, do you have anything to add?
Actually, I'm going to give you guys a life example. So 9 years ago, I went to price a house. At that point in time, it was a higher priced home. I felt like I wasn't that confident. I'm like, okay, this is my first higher priced home. And I knew I was competing against a veteran male agent in the industry. He knew he was competing against me. He went first, walked in to the person's house and started trashing me. Why would you deal with a young agent who's inexperienced, a young female whose family just handed her the keys to the brokerage, basically? And that was I still to this day get people saying, oh yeah, must be nice to ride off of mommy and daddy's coattails. I'm like, no, it wasn't like that at all. I didn't get things handed to me. I had to prove my worth because I wanted to make my family proud. So back to this house I walked into, the woman that was at the home, she was a single lady. She kicked the agent out of her house because they were just downplaying who I was and they weren't talking about what they had to offer. And I walked in the house about an hour after and I said, hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Kelsey. And she says, you're listing my home. I'm like, well, don't you want to hear what I have to say first? And she's like, I don't even care what you have to say. She says, I don't care if you charge a higher commission than that other agent. She says, I just want you to know this is what happened. And you're clearly an intimidating person for somebody to do that. So I want you to sell my home. And I said, okay, let me do my spiel first, but if you still like me at the end, I'll list your home. And let me tell you, I listed her home and 7 of her friends' homes over the 5 years after that, because, that's one thing. Stay humble. Don't trash talk your competition, prove your worth, and just, it'll all work out. And it did for me. And I always tell all my new agents coming into our brokerage that story. And I said, just be humble, focus on you and what you have to offer, and everything's going to fall into place.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about negotiation. Do you find that being a woman impacts your strategies or impacts negotiation, especially when negotiating with the old boys club?
Not anymore. All the old boys club, I grew up around them because I was a baby running around the office in the industry and they all knew me as a little girl. And now I think that they all respect me, whereas before it was tricky, but I think I've proven my worth now. And now when they're up against me, they're like, oh, I wish you were still that little girl. I didn't have to compete against you then. And I was like, yeah, well, sorry. But no, I think that once you get that confidence to go forward and move forward, yeah, the sky's the limit. Nobody even thinks about it anymore after that.
We're so digital now, like how often are we actually head-to-head negotiating? I mean, I do agree that it has been an issue, but I find now it's a lot easier to put your voice in writing. So I think this is actually the fact that we've gone so virtual and digital, this actually might be very helpful for us as a group moving forward, because we are all still learning, or we're actually learning a lot easier now to find our voice, because we're getting to put it in writing, and it's a lot easier to put it in writing when you're not fearing being said no or being told no. So I think that this, as much as we all hate the pandemic, we're all locked down and we're all putting things in writing and we're seeing things. And I think it's actually going to give a lot of people a voice that may not have had a voice before, because it's so much easier to be strong. And when we come out of this and we're back seeing people face to face, I think we're all going to be okay to get a no, because it's something that we've built our strength up while we were shut down.
I actually feel like it's almost an advantage being a female in negotiating sometimes. I feel like women, we have a really good gut and really good instinct. And I think a lot of the times with that, we're able to almost do better in negotiations, and we can kind of see through people's bluffs or whatnot. And being, compassionate people and empathetic people, we're able to work with our clients better as well. I see it more of an advantage, to be honest.
Laura, anything you want to add to that?
They've covered it well. And I think, like Ashley said, we're getting used to you do things virtually. So when you do get back into person doing things, you have that confidence built up because you can do it. You're not necessarily fearing that no, or you have the confidence to carry you through to a yes.
All right. Answering a question on chat. All right. Do you feel like you have to overcompensate in some ways because you're a woman? And if so, in what ways?
I think in commercial, I do a little bit. My partner, my team partners always tell me to stop talking, and I talk all the time, but when I'm in conversation and you want to make a point, and I'm sure I've done it on here because it's something I do, you just keep talking to get an answer. And I think that it's because we keep trying to prove ourselves and almost lead people in a direction so we feel confident that everybody's on the same page. And we again sometimes don't let people just like tell us what we need to hear. And I think that is, and again, trying to vocalize it's not always easy because it's something you just do. Letting people, I guess what I'm trying to say is exactly that. Like, let people speak and let people tell you what they want to hear, and don't just keep telling them what you think they want to hear, because we all do that.
And I think being involved in many different aspects of real estate, for me, I felt like I had to be involved with everything and have, learn everything that I could and do it all at once. And you can't do everything all at once. So, pick one thing and go with that. And it's okay to want to be involved with all the things, but choose one and do it really well, rather than trying to spread yourself too thin.
I definitely feel, I talked about before in the beginning when I first started, that I would try to overcompensate by just learning more about and doing more background research and doing my homework before a meeting or whatnot. But I think now I've learned that it's more about using your weaknesses as strengths. I think women are better listeners, and that's definitely something that can be used as an advantage for sure, because sometimes men, they can talk, but they don't listen. And so we really understand the clients a lot better.
Okay. I'll echo what Ashley said, actually. My overcompensation was just to know more than everybody else, and to be better than everybody else, and make sure that I did the training and I did the homework to be better than everybody else, because I knew that as a young woman in real estate, for me to be taken seriously, I would have to be better and I would have to know more. So that was my overcompensation. It's not so much the case anymore, because, given time and given people watching what you do, I don't find I have to overcompensate as much, but it definitely has paid dividends. All right, last question, unless there's anything else in chat and Q&A, which I don't see, but do you feel like there are stereotypes about women in real estate?
I don't know them personally. I feel like I fight a lot more stereotypes in the sense that I still have clients that calling me sweetheart and all those things and setting lines, and that I feel now we need to be stronger with our boundaries. Again, I deal with a lot of, in my volunteer everything, a lot of older men, and that's normal. That was their normal. So I think that again, setting that stereotype that happens a lot. I tend to prepare myself going into situations like that I could be uncomfortable, and then I have to try to work my way around that.
Okay, anybody else? Nobody's gonna bring up Selling Sunset or anything like that?
I hear it a lot in the industry too, though, like some of the ways that some of the women portray themselves in their photos, and oh, what is she looking at? Is she just like, looking for an invitation? And it's things like that. It's like, no, maybe that's what makes her feel confident and what makes her feel good. And that's who she is as a person. Maybe that's how she dresses every single day. And so some people think that people do that to advance themselves. And I don't think that's the case. But yeah, I've noticed the stereotype of that, or, oh, she's a young agent, so all the guys just call her. That's why she's doing well. And it's like, no, maybe she works hard, and it's combating those comments that not necessarily the public, but other agents that, the old boys club and stuff, they make those comments because they're feeling the pressure that those people aren't calling them when they used to call them. So I think a lot of it does stem from jealousy too, and it creates some of the stereotypes for sure.
I go back to Mean Girls, and Tina Fey said, we have to stop talking about one another the way we wouldn't want to be treated. And I think that we are all guilty of that. That is, you see it every day where we'll witness a man, like you just said, saying, oh, she dresses that way. We just stand by because we don't want to ripple the water. And I think we have to stand up against that, because that is an awful misconception that's victim blaming, and that's something that happens so much, especially in such a dangerous industry. Having that she's inviting it, that whole mentality is something that I think, and I know a lot of our male counterparts, especially in this group, will stand up for that. And I think that's something we just need to shut it down. And that's a time I'm okay being told no, that I'm being vocal.
This group is amazing for inspiring not only women, men, people, just to boost their confidence. It's a great group to be a part of.
My first thought is here, and he's posted something on Instagram since we started, is Matt. Matt is a huge advocate for support, and that is something that I think is, and again, that's why this group I think is so phenomenal, because we as allies, you mentioned earlier, we got to be each other's allies. And again, this is the one time I will fight tooth and nail victim blaming, saying we're invited, the way a picture's taken. Who cares? Like I once read a situation or a thing one day, it said that a woman having a child is more detrimental to her career than a man being accused of sexual assault. It would be to his. And it's the whole mentality that it's okay for men to say what they need to say, and all of that type of stuff. We keep talking about the old boys club. This is something that we really need to be strong about and be okay fighting for, because no one else will.
Awesome. Well said. Any other final comments before we sign off? No.
I just put the link for Invisaware in, and I am an ambassador for the brand. So you can get a discount if you were interested in the Invisaware. You can get it as a keychain, you can get it as anything, but I definitely think worth it. And I have used it before just to try it out. It does work, and it's ADT is the security system that it's attached to it. So you have someone, you can buy it just to be attached to your phone, or it can go right to the security system. But be safe, ladies.
Awesome. Okay, any other parting thoughts?
Yeah, I just really love this panel, and I love this group. I think, we talk sometimes about old boys clubs, and I think this is great because it's like our ladies club, and having that community. I think it's great, and we should have more of this.
Yeah, and I think just keeping that reminder, bringing these issues to the forefront, and the more we talk about it, then the more I hate to say band together, but the more we can shut it down and stand up for ourselves and realize, hey, I might not be the only one who's experiencing this situation. It's happening to others as well.
And we're always all here. If anybody who's here viewing this webinar, if you ever want to reach out to any of us, we are always here for you guys too.
You stole my thunder, Kelsey.
Sorry.
I'm
made you cry and stole your thunder. I'm sorry.
It's a good day. It's a good day. I just want to say thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to everybody who joined in and watched. I'm gonna cry again. I find myself so lucky to be part of this tribe and this group of women where we can lift each other up and truly support ourselves. Important for you to find that tribe, find that group of women to help support you and help lift you up, because it should not be enough. It should not be a competition. There's enough pie for everybody, and we can all learn from each other. We can all grow from each other. So kudos to all of you. Thank you for sitting through this for 45 minutes. And like Kelsey said, if you want to reach out to any one of us, Instagram, Facebook, and or email or phone or whatever, please do so. So thank you very much. Have a lovely day and happy International Women's Day a day late.
Thank you for hosting, Marissa.
Thank you.
Sorry. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.